you want to know what to do if you have been told by the ICU team that you have 2 days to say goodbye to your critically loved one, stay tuned. I've got news for you. Today, I have an email from David. And by the way, my name is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com, and this is another quick tip for families in intensive care. So today I have an email from David who says, "Hi, Patrick. I have been listening and reading on your website, intensivecarehotline.com, a lot. I have 2 days until my mother is to be pulled from the ventilator. My father is convinced letting her go and letting her die is the answer. I can feel and tell the ICU team is not being 100% truthful. There is something else to the story, and after reading and listening to your videos and blogs, I have no doubt that something's not right here. Can you advise?" Well, first of all, thank you, David, for your email, and I'm very sorry to hear what you're going through. But the first thing is this: you believe in your own mind that you have 2 days to say goodbye for your mother until she's being, quote unquote, pulled off the ventilator and they want to let her die. Well, first off, you need to change your language because you're already eating up the narrative from the intensive care team. You're saying you have 2 days. Well, another way to look at it is, I have all the time in the world to let my mother live and change the situation around. How does that sound? And all it is a mind set change. That's all it is. Now, do you believe that an intensive care team can just take your mum off life support without your or your mum's consent? Do you believe they can just do that? And if you think they can, and someone objects, either yourself or your father or your mum, if she's awake, I believe that would be a case of murder. So I'm not sure why you buy into this narrative from the intensive care team, right? So, you have rights. You have rights in a situation like that, but you live in the intensive care team's reality that they tell you and they pretend they can do whatever they want. Imagine they could just kill anyone they want at will, because that's what they're doing here. And if you let them, they will do that. But if you don't let them, they won't. The biggest challenge for families in intensive care is simply that they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what to look for. They don't know what questions to ask. They don't know their rights, and they don't know how to manage doctors and nurses in intensive care. And this is exactly what you're dealing with. You don't believe that you can manage them to save your mother's life. Well, I believe we can manage them to save your mother's life because we have saved many lives with our consulting and advocacy for our clients in intensive care. And you can verify that on our intensivecarehotline.com testimonial section, and you can verify it on our intensivecarehotline.com podcast section where we have done client interviews. Right? A situation like that can actually be quite easily turned around. But if you tell yourself that you have 2 days to say goodbye to your mum, well, that's all you will focus on. If I was you, I would focus on spending all your time and effort to turn this situation around. 90% of intensive care patients roughly survive. That's 90%. That's 9 out of 10 patients actually survive their intensive care stay. So what makes you think that your mum should be the 1 out of 10 not surviving? What makes you think that? Do you have any facts? Do you have access to the medical records? Have you gotten a second opinion? We can do both. We can give you access to the medical records. We can look at the medical records once you've got access to them. Right? That's one thing we do. Another thing we do then is give you a second opinion. Another thing that I do personally, I talk to doctors and nurses directly on your behalf or with you. And I'm very confident that I can turn that situation around for you. Very confident, because I've done it many times, because I'm an industry insider and I know about patient and family rights and I know them inside out. I also know the clinical aspect inside out, because I worked in critical care nursing for 25 years in 3 different countries, where I also worked as a nurse manager for over 5 years in intensive care. And I can very confidently say that we have saved many lives for our clients in intensive care. And once again, you can verify that on our testimonial section at intensivecarehotline.com, or you can verify it on our intensivecarehotline.com podcast section, where we have done client interviews that verify everything that I'm saying here. You know, so you can, it's entirely up to you, David, whether you want to believe the intensive care team's narrative or you want to believe your own narrative. Also, have you considered whether your mom is in a real or in a perceived end-of-life situation? Well, what's the difference? Well, I'm glad you've asked. A real end-of-life situation is an end-of-life situation in intensive care that is real. That means no treatment, no surgery, no medication, no fancy equipment, no staffing levels, no nothing will save your mom's life. That's a real end-of-life situation. A perceived end-of-life situation might just be what you're going through. There's a perception that your mom might die on Thursday. But it doesn't sound to me like you've made any efforts to stop the intensive care team from ending your mom's life. And it doesn't sound to me like, you've gotten a second opinion, looking at other treatment options. Have they done all the right things? Do they even have the right staffing levels to look after your mom properly? Do you have access to the medical records? If you don't look at these things, your mom is probably going to die. And it might be unnecessary. Probably is unnecessary. Right? Because our advice here is absolutely life-changing. Once again, I'm not exaggerating. It is life-changing because you don't know what you don't know. And you can join a growing number of members and clients that have loved ones in intensive care, and we help them to improve their lives instantly, making sure they make informed decisions, have peace of mind, control, power and influence, making sure your loved one gets best care and treatment always. And that's why our advice is absolutely life-changing. And that's why I do one-on-one consulting advocacy over the phone, Zoom, Skype, WhatsApp, whichever medium works best for you. And I talk to you and your families directly. I talk to doctors and nurses directly on your behalf or with you. And when I talk to doctors and nurses directly, I ask all the questions that you haven't even considered asking, but must be asked when you have a loved one critically ill in intensive care. I handhold you through this once-in-a-lifetime situation that you simply cannot afford to get wrong. I also represent you in family meetings with intensive care teams. We also do medical record reviews in real time so that you can get a second opinion in real time, because that's exactly what you need here, David. You need both. You need me to talk to doctors and nurses directly, and you need me and my team to look at medical records to give you a second opinion. We also do medical record reviews after intensive care if you have unanswered questions, if you need closure, or if you are suspecting medical negligence. And all of that you get at intensivecarehotline.com, where we also have a membership for families of critically ill patients in intensive care. You can become a member if you go to intensivecarehotline.com, if you click on the membership link, or if you go to intensivecaresupport.org directly. In the membership, you have access to me and my team 24 hours a day in the membership area and via email, and we answer all questions intensive care related. If you're a member, you also have exclusive access to 21 ebooks and 21 videos that I have personally written and recorded. And all of that will help you to make informed decisions, have peace of mind, control, power, and influence. And all of that you get at intensivecarehotline.com. Call us on one of the numbers on the top of our website, or simply send us an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com with your questions. And if you like my videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel for regular updates for families in intensive care. Like the video, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell, and share the video with your friends and families. I also do a weekly YouTube live where I answer your questions live on a show, and you will get notification for the YouTube live if you're a subscriber to my YouTube channel or a subscriber to my intensivecarehotline.com email newsletter at intensivecarehotline.com. Thank you so much for watching. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com, and I will talk to you in a few days. Take care for now.